How's it everyone? Welcome back to another string review right here on OpenCourt. I'm Kent and I'm back with another hybrid experiment string review. I'm testing out a hybrid by Solinco. I've been wanting to test this for a while now and I finally got around to it. So today we're testing out the Solinco Mach 10 and Hyper G round hybrid. Let's check it out. Alright, so the Mach 10 I'm sure you've heard of by now. I reviewed this string in a full bed on my channel recently. The Hyper G round also I reviewed last year. I really liked the Mach 10. In fact, I'm planning to do a Mach 10 versus a Tour Bite versus head-to-head review because Tour Bite has always been my favorite Solinco string, but Mach 10 I really enjoyed and I want to pit them head-to-head to see if the Mach 10 can give the Tour Bite a run for its money. The Hyper G original, I've never been too much of a fan of. It was kind of an erratic, soft, mushy, not really much feel type of string. The round felt a little bit better, although it did sacrifice a little bit of spin. It did give a little bit more of a predictable launch, which tends to happen with shaped strings versus round strings. I've been wanting to test this hybrid specifically together for a while since they came out with the Mach 10, and since I like this, I thought the Hyper G round would pair well with the Mach 10 because this is a round string for the crosses. And if you guys didn't know, they do actually sell this Mach 10 and Hyper G round in a pre-packaged hybrid. It's called the Hyper Mach, which is a pretty cool name, and it's like a collaboration with the Brain Dead company. I don't really know much about Brain Dead. Here's a picture of the Hyper Mach Brain Dead pre-packaged hybrid. They're kind of like a strange art company. They also have a Solinco whiteout tennis racket with Brain Dead, so you can get the Hyper Mach hybrid or the Brain Dead whiteout online. I could not find the Brain Dead, well I could actually, but shipping to Hawaii is really expensive, so I just decided to buy a set of the Mach 10 and the Hyper G round at On Point Sports. They sell both of these. If you guys are interested, check them out. And I decided to hybrid them together. On the Solinco website, or actually on the Brain Dead Hyper Mach packaging, they actually suggested to put the Hyper G round in the mains, which is a little bit strange because usually you put the round string in the crosses because the shaped string can slide and snap back on the round string a little bit better. A shaped string in the cross will not only prevent the main string from sliding well, it's also going to saw into it, and that friction is going to cause the string to snap quite quickly, especially with Hyper G round because this is not a super stiff poly. So I don't know why they recommended the Hyper G round in the mains, but if you put this in the mains, you are going to hit a little bit more of a flatter, deeper, faster shot because this is a little bit softer. It's going to get a little more pocketing and send the ball deep with a little bit more power. The Mach 10 in the mains, however, is going to provide a little bit more spin so you guys can hit a higher bouncing, heavier ball for your opponent to hit. So if I had gotten my hands on the Brain Dead Hyper Mach hybrid, I would definitely have put the Mach 10 in the mains, although they recommend the Hyper G round in the mains. But since I got a set of both, I could actually string two rackets, so that's what I did. I strung my two head boom pros with the Hyper Mach hybrid and in different setups. So this one, as you can see, I got the Mach 10 in the mains and the Hyper G round in the cross. And I got the Hyper G round in the mains and the Mach 10 in the crosses on this one. I strung them both at 53 pounds and I'm going to get them out on the court and see how they play. Since I had a full set, I may as well have strung two rackets, and that's what I did. I'm excited to finally test out this hybrid. I've been thinking about this for a while, so without further ado, let's jump on the court and let's test out the Solinco Hyper Mach hybrid. But before that, if you guys like this content and want to see more, be sure to overhead smash that like and subscribe button to keep the reviews coming. So as this is a hybrid review, and since I've done a full pros and cons review on both of these strings, I'm going to just give my general thoughts and comparisons of the Solinco Mach 10 and Hyper G round hybrid. Let's first start out by comparing the serves. I typically rely on my kick serve to set up my net approach, and without a doubt, the better setup for the kick serve was the Mach 10 in the mains. This comes as no surprise. Most people know that poly-poly hybrids with a shaped poly in the main will get much better spin than a round poly main. The Mach 10 starts out pretty stiff, but once it settles in, the string becomes much more elastic and I felt a decent amount of string movement and snapback. My kick serves were diving down into the corner and kicking up with some speed. My opponents often had to resort to returning my serve off the rise. My slice serve typically works better with shaped strings because I like to take an aggressive sidewards cut, which leads to a slice serve that moves right to left. And although I found that to be the case with the Mach 10 mains, I actually found better success with the slice serve with the Hyper G round mains. This was mostly because the Hyper G is softer and it seemed to pocket the ball and launch it out better on an aggressive slice serve. Although I sacrificed some mid-air movement, I was able to hit a slice serve that curved into the body or away from my opponent's outstretched racket with more speed, and that led to easier points. Without a doubt, the Hyper G round mains work better for the flat serve because of the aforementioned softer feel and slightly longer dwell time on the strings. But honestly, I didn't feel a huge difference between the two setups on the serve. I probably like the Mach 10 mains on serves better only because I tend to use my kick serve about 75% of the time. Next up is the ground strokes. Both setups worked well from the baseline, but I definitely preferred the setup with the Mach 10 in the mains. The setup with the Hyper G in the mains had a noticeably lower launch angle, and this led to me hitting many returns in the net. I normally prefer a lower launch angle, but as in this case, the trajectory was too low and straight lined for me. The package stated that the Hyper G round mains would lead to a more penetrating ball, and this was true. If you hit more flat and can aim consistently low over the net and keep the ball in, this setup might work better, but for me, the Mach 10 with its slightly higher trajectory gave me better control and the spin would bring the ball down inside the baseline much more consistently. Also, having the shaped Mach 10 in the crosses meant the mains wouldn't always slide and snap back consistently, and this led to some errant shots, especially when I hit off center. Overall, the control, pocketing, spin, and feel from the baseline was much better with the Mach 10 mains, and the slippery Hyper G round crosses gave me better consistency on aggressive returns, approach shots, and rally balls. Next up, volleys. Both setups worked very well at net, and because I don't take a huge cut at the ball on volleys, erratic launch and control issues doesn't really crop up for me at net. I enjoyed the pocketing and feel from both setups at net, and honestly I felt the two setups were virtually identical on the volleys. I think I prefer a full bed of Mach 10 at net though, or even tour bite, because the Hyper G round in the crosses mutes the feel just a bit. This could be somewhat troublesome when I want to hit short cross-court forehands or angle volleys, but I never had any issues with the drop shots because the lively feel gave me good touch and I just had to put the racket in the path of the ball and then the strings did the rest. I do feel like the Hyper G round gives my volleys a little more pop, and this was helpful on the transition volleys. If I ever have to scoop up volleys from below my knees, I like something that gives me the feel to keep the ball low over the net, but also the power to block the ball back deep, and this setup gave me just that. I could also aim into the gaps and put away the ball on reaction volleys. Usually when I use a deader string or one that gives me less confidence on my accuracy, if I'm forced to hit a quick reaction defensive volley, I just block the ball back in the direction it came. But with crisper setups like the Hyper Mach, I can confidently place those reaction volleys between my opponents or aim for winners which can end the point. This is the ideal type of string for me at net, and both variations of the Hyper Mach gave me what I needed. On slices, no question the Mach 10 mains worked better. Although the Hyper G mains gave me a lower trajectory and deeper penetrating slice, the Mach 10's grip on the ball and the smooth snapback the Hyper G round crosses provided gave me much better control when aiming the slice left and right. The Hyper G main setup gave me slightly more help on defensive slices and lobbing, however, as the ball came off the strings with slightly more pop. However, the lower trajectory of the Hyper G meant I hit a few defensive slices into the net when I really had to stretch. Overall, I felt the Hyper Mach was a very solid poly-hybrid setup and one of the best pre-packaged hybrids I've tried. This setup provides a little bit of everything without sacrificing the key elements to allow me to play my aggressive all-court style with confidence. The Hyper Mach provides a decent amount of power without losing control, and the spin level with the Mach 10 in the mains remained very high even after many hours of play. What drew me into this hybrid though was the feel. I could still use my deceptive touch game as well as my aggressive baseline game to win points in different ways. In terms of raw feel, however, I think a full bed of Mach 10 or Tour Bite still feels better. If they ever release a Tour Bite round, I would be very interested in trying that as a hybrid cross. So, who is the Solinco Hyper Mach hybrid for? It's for players who are looking for a string that allows them to dictate the pace with aggressive shots without sacrificing control and feel. If you like to approach the net after a successful corner shot, the Hyper Mach will give you plenty of feel to put the ball away or hit angles and drop shots to keep your opponent guessing. I don't recommend this hybrid to those who have sensitive elbows as it is a pretty stiff setup, though the Hyper G round in the cross does soften it up a bit. Solinco has done it again with a top tier poly string with the Mach 10, and now I'm excited to pit it against my current favorite Solinco string, the Tour Bite, in a head-to-head showdown to see who takes the OpenCourt Solinco crown. So now let me hear from you guys in the comments. Have you tried the Hyper Mach? What is your favorite string to pair with the Mach 10? Also, I've heard rumors of a Tour Bite round, so if you know anything about that, let me know in the comments or debunk it because I honestly can't find anything about it. And also if you guys are interested in seeing a versus review of the Mach 10 versus the Tour Bite. Thanks for watching this hybrid experiment string review of the Solinco Hyper Mach right here on OpenCourt. If you guys like this content, be sure to overhead smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on an OpenCourt.